Here is a black person, and here is a white person. None of us have ever seen anyone that looks like this. Black people, white people do not exist. So, how did we first start to call each other black and white? Does anybody recognize this man? I didn't think so. This is Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And in 1775, he was graduating from med school, and he wrote his doctoral dissertation and entitled it On the Natural Varieties of Mankind. The scientific community was so fascinated by his work that they published it in 1776. And in this work, he was the first to suggest that the human family should be broken down into what he called races. And he named them black, white, yellow, red, and brown. And remember, the year here is 1775. So if Blumenbach created these terms in 1775, what does that tell you about all of the mentions of black and white relative to man in the Bible and the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price, that were all written long before 1775? The only book of Scripture that we have that does not have any confusing language about skin, curse, black, and white is the Doctrine and Covenants. It is the only book of Scripture that we have that was written after the manner of our language, as quoted in Doctrine and Covenants, section 1, verse 24. So, Blumenbach is known as the father of scientific anthropology. And all these new sciences began trying to figure out the differences in the races. And guess what they found out? There are no differences. That all in the human family are 99.99% alike. Isn't that great? Blumenbach published his later works, but they weren't accepted, because man has always been looking for a way to separate himself from his brother. And now he had a great one. So let's talk about how skin color actually changes. Skin color changes by a fusion of activity on the surface of the melanocyte. On the melanocyte here, you'll see that we have a melanocortin-1 receptor, which is a constant. It's going to fuse with one of two things, either the melanin-stimulating hormone or the agouti signaling protein. And if in the presence of intense heat and ultraviolet rays, the melanin-stimulating hormone is produced, and it produces the eumelanin, which is the darker brown to black melanin in the skin that creates a natural sunblock to protect us from the sun when we are in hot climates. When we moved out of the hot climates into the colder areas, the body produces the agouti signaling protein. The agouti signaling protein then fuses with the melanocortin-1 receptor, and it produces pheomelanin, which is the yellow to red melanin in the skin that takes down the natural sunblock so that the body can synthesize vitamin D. If our bodies cannot synthesize vitamin D, we cannot procreate and we cannot survive. So the world has looked at our physical differences and used it as a way to separate us, when actually it is one of the signs of the Lord's love for all of his children. I have put the largest organ on the outside of the body to allow you to move about this earth that I've created for you, and I will go with you and keep you alive. So each time you see someone with a different complexion, smile and know that the Lord loves us all. Here's a skin color map of the world. And so as you can see, in the hotter climates, the skin is darker. to protect you and keep you alive. As we moved out of the hotter climates, we find that our skin color lightens gradually to allow more sun in to synthesize vitamin D. So either there is something to this principle, or someone was very organized and able to get everybody to line up in the world according to their shade. So as you look at this skin color map of the world, where did the Nephites come from? Take note of where they would have come from, and note the skin color that the Nephites would have had. It is the skin color that we associate the Lamanites with having. So, yes, did the Lamanites have a darker skin? Yes. Did they have a darker skin than the Nephites? No. There was no skin color changing in the scriptures, and we will demonstrate that as we get into the scriptures today. The Nephites, they are often portrayed as being European, but they never made it up this far. And so their skin would not have been able to transform to the lighter skin color, but would have had the darker skin that we associate with the Lamanites. So instead of producing black and white, this is what we have. Just all the different shades of brown. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? It is. All right.